Hello, everyone, and welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. All right, happy Thanksgiving Eve. This is what we're doing tonight. So, we're going to have a really good show tonight. It's all about the holiday here. So, it's about gift giving. So, we're going to give gifts and tools how to deal with co-parenting with a high conflict ex. We've done this before a couple months ago, but this time we are going to do it again with a twist because the holidays are coming up and sometimes we just cannot not be around certain people in our lives. So we are going to have some tools given. But before I do that, I'm going to play this dope intro.
This for the queens, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you God's gift to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kissed goddess, heavenly order. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, dog.
And we are back. Again, welcome to Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. My name is Ursula, and I am your host for tonight. But before we get started, let's take care of some housekeeping. First and foremost, please like, comment, share this video so we can get these algorithms up, so we can give people some tools to take into the holidays, to dealing with their high conflict ex. Also, because it is the holiday coming up, I have a Black Friday sale. So you go on blackgirlsgettingtheirshifttogether.com, search the merch link, click on it. You're going to see all the items on there. Items like this, I don't know if you can see it, my windbreaker, some Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together merch, t-shirts, candles, all of that. Go and check it out. And the discount code is BGGTST, just like you see on my t-shirt. All right, we're going to get straight into this now. I have my lovely guest, Sarah Kamoto. She is tuning in from Australia. Let me bring her out of the waiting room.
Hello.
How are you, beautiful?
I'm well. How are you going?
I'm very well. You know, it's always a delight when I have you on. Always a delight. I always learn a lot.
Always fun times.
Isn't it? Remember when we had last year, we had happy hour?
Yeah. I think
we should have done it this time.
Oh yeah, well it's midday now. It's okay, I can have a drink. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
It's only just midday.
So here in America, it's 8 o'clock. Wait, Thursday, 8 p.m. What time is it in Australia?
So it's Wednesday, 8 p.m. where you are?
It's Wednesday, 8 p.m. I don't even know what time zone I'm in.
No, it's Thursday midday here. Thursday midday. Yeah. So I'm like, what's that? 9, 10, 12, 16 hours ahead.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Whole new day.
I know. That's why when I asked you, well, how was your day? You're like, my day just started.
Not long ago.
Meanwhile, I'm winding down on mine.
Yeah.
All right. So let's get our shift together. Tonight's topic is co-parenting with a high conflict ex during the holiday. Do you all have some kind of Thanksgiving in Australia or equivalent to it?
No, just Christmas Day. Unless there are Americans here who do celebrate Thanksgiving.
Right.
But yeah, we don't have the equivalent of that. Yeah, because I know your Thanksgiving is kind of like as big as Christmas Day. I guess.
It is.
Yeah. Maybe more. That's when you have the turkey on Thanksgiving, whereas we have turkey Christmas Day.
Ah,
Yeah. Whereas I think you
interesting.
guys have maybe ham Christmas Day, I've heard.
We have, well, I didn't grow up eating the ham, but yeah, we have ham, turkey.
Mm.
Um, but see, I'm Panamanian, so we had rice and peas, gunga
Yeah.
peas, yuca,
Yeah.
plantain, you know,
Yeah. The Jamaican style
yeah,
Christmas. Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
was regular for us, as opposed to the mashed potatoes and, you
Sweet
know,
potato thing and whatever. Yeah. I
yeah,
don't know the things, but yeah.
yeah.
I just know there's food and celebrations.
And in some cases, toxicity.
Yes. Probably in most cases, to varying degrees, if you're dealing with family members and you only see them a few times a year, especially, or
Yeah.
high conflict co-parents.
Exactly. And, speaking of that, it is a happy time of year, but it also can be very triggering for a lot of people. I know I used to have before I started going to therapy, I used to have extremely, um, my anxiety would increase this time of year
Hmm.
because I felt forced and obligated to be in situations with family gatherings, and it just was not. It wasn't fun.
Yeah,
It wasn't enjoyable.
I think people do that a lot, like grin and bear it, and there's always that one family member or maybe several who are just awful and make it just draining and a horrible experience. Yet we still continue to put ourselves in those positions and those situations because
Ooh,
what you're supposed to do, apparently.
right. What you're supposed to do. So,
Mm.
for some people who have not met you before, you all are going to have to go back in the memory banks in the library so you can see some of the streams that Sarah and I have done. But as a quick recap, can you tell people what kind of coach you are and how you coach people?
Yeah, so I'm a high conflict co-parenting coach, and I always say it's not that I'm high conflict. I help women co-parent with someone who is high conflict, abusive, toxic, narcissistic, whatever it may be, plain difficult. Doesn't even matter. I put them in the same bucket because if you share children with somebody of that nature and it's anything less than a amicable, calm relationship, then you're dealing with somebody who is high conflict. Obviously there's a spectrum, and with that comes many unique challenges, especially coming up to the holidays, especially when it comes to medical decisions, schooling, finances. Everything will be harder. So I always like the catch-all phrases like you have to parent 1,000 times harder when you have a co-parent of that nature.
Why do they make things so difficult?
Because what's difficult for everyone else is nice and fun and entertaining, and not difficult for them. It's just control, supply, to know that they still have that element of control to ruffle your feathers and, resist everything that you want to do or say, or if you want to advocate for your children, yeah, they will just do what they want because they have their own rules,
Mm,
unfortunately.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
I want to read a couple of sentences. I got this from survivedivorce.com, and it talks about high conflict exes, narcissistic exes, and they talk about how they dwell in anger and live for vengeance. They
Yeah.
must be the winner, the best, and take great pleasure in tormenting you still. And years could pass, but a high conflict person can be unrelenting. They
Yeah.
view themselves as special, entitled, and above others, and everyone else is simply inferior. They manipulate reality, meaning they lie and cheat, then to justify it to themselves and others to make their wretchedness seem necessary and okay.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, children are witnessing all of this.
Yeah, children witness that, and children to them are seen as possessions. So, your children to you, you always make as the safe parent decisions for your children's best interest and look after their emotional health. Whereas this other person, this other parent, will do what they want despite the negative impact it has on the child because they don't care. as long as they get their needs met and their agenda is fulfilled, the child is just collateral damage. But they will, especially if they're highly covert, portray themselves to be this amazing parent, great pillar of the community, and be really likable to those who don't actually know who the person is behind closed doors.
Right.
Yeah.
And I learned that it's their sense of perfectionism that they want other people to see. Not saying that they are perfect, but I think that they know deep down that they are not.
Yes.
I don't
I
know.
think, well, this is my belief. They know they're highly insecure. They know they are flawed, but they will never ever look within. They're not self-aware. It's too painful to look within and do the work and actually dig deep, because you'll uncover some ugly stuff. And who wants to do that? Especially if you spent 30, 40, 50, 60 years being who you are, in your mind, successful in trampling all over people, abusing others, treating them like crap because
Mm,
they're so fearful of you. Then why stop doing what works? And if it stops working with someone, they just move on to the next. It's what they do.
what do you mean fearful of you?
No, no, they're not fearful, but
Oh,
they, like the people on the receiving end, if they're scared, then they get to fulfill their agenda. So to keep you in this position of being scared, fearful of ruffling any feathers, so they just get to keep you down so that they get to suit their agenda. As soon as you start rising up, pushing back, they dislike it. They have this narc rage, and that's where it refers back to that article. They will try to destroy you because how dare you?
right. And I hear a key word is rage. Ooh. And it
Mm.
can be so ugly and it can be so hidden that people don't see it. I've
Yeah.
actually been questioned. Are you sure that they are like that? Are you
Oh yeah, of
sure?
course. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I end up
Ah,
gaslighting my own self. Like,
yes.
well, maybe
It's
not.
it's not like you have to be sure. You know how it felt, and you know how it feels. So you don't have to justify that to anybody. If they don't see it, this person isn't like that to everybody. Otherwise, they would have no one in their lives. They only show the face they want to show. So people who say that, it's not very helpful. They don't know any better, but it doesn't help, because then it gets you second guessing. Oh, maybe I'm just being a bit sensitive. Maybe they're not that bad. No,
Right.
you trust your experience, because they pick and choose who they want to show their true selves to, or glimpses of. And they, especially if they're covert, they will have this mask on, because they will protect this identity that they have created, no matter what. No
Yes.
matter what.
By any means necessary.
Yeah. If it means lying, they'll lie. Lying in court, they'll do it. Lying under oath, they'll do it. If it means, killing someone, they will probably do it. You know
See?
what I mean?
Yeah.
There are no lengths they won't go to.
Wow. And this is why I feel that therapy is so important, because the times that I didn't know I was self-gaslighting myself, and it was more important to prove my point to other people as opposed to just what you just said. I know the truth. So that's all that it matters. And I didn't realize
Yeah.
that I had spent my whole life trying to convince people, even I knew what I knew and felt what I felt.
Yeah. Yes,
Yeah.
because it's kind of natural, because it's like, well, if other people can see it, then it means that it is true. It's not my imagination. But it's getting to that place where you trust how things feel for yourself. So you trust yourself enough, so you don't need that validation outside of yourself.
Right.
You know, but if
Ooh.
you can't self-validate, which a lot of us haven't been able to, because of how we were raised or the relationships that we've had, we do look outside of ourselves. And if people are saying, like, an example is, I received a birthday card, it was my birthday this week, from a family member, and
Oh,
someone else.
happy belated
Yeah,
birthday.
no, thank you.
Nice.
And someone else said, oh, that's nice, I guess. And I said, no, no, that's not nice. Like, that's, and if I wasn't self-validated, if I was kind of at the beginning of my journey, you then look at, oh, in isolation, that gesture is nice, I should say thank you because I'm a nice person. And then that opens up the door. You're no longer no contact with this person, and give it a few months or even years, and they will go and continue doing what they did previously. Their behavior hasn't changed because they haven't changed. But them reaching out, sending a card, even though you're no contact, is a Hoover attempt. But to the outside world, friends and family or others, it's like, well, that's nice. Yes, it is nice, but not when you stack it with all the other things that they've done. It's not nice. I see it for what it is. So I didn't have a go at the person. I have no attachment. I actually haven't even opened the card, and I knew it was coming because they send it every year. But I just, it motivated me to do a reel about it, about how friends and family can unintentionally gaslight us. And if you're not careful, you're going to take that on board and then end up in the cycle of abuse again. So yeah, it's not nice. Yes, it's a nice gesture if you look at just somebody sent you a birthday card, but it isn't nice. It's a manipulation tactic. It's a Hoover tactic. Yeah, I just won't
Very
fall for it.
much. Exactly. I love what you just said, and it was so enlightening. When you're in isolation, everything seems nice.
Yeah.
I just had an aha moment. Literally. See, this is why I like having you on so much. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah, because, you know, people of this nature, whatever you want to label them as, they are not awful all of the time. They can be what can be perceived as nice or not bad. But when you look at all the nice things and ignore the bad things, then you're in la la land. And then, you know, if you only look at the nice things, when the bad thing happens, it's like we think, oh, that's just a slip up. That's just them having a bad time, or that's just them, you know, in a mood or whatever. But it's actually, no, that's their default. The other bit, the nice, is the fakeness, is not real. That's the mask, but we get it the wrong way around. And that's why I think we stay a lot longer in these kind of relationships, or, you know, whether romantic or family relationships.
Absolutely. I read somewhere that when you grow up in a toxic home as a child, that if your parent or the people of origin that you're around, and if just say if they are toxic, I don't know, 70% of the time, but that 30 or that 20% where they are nice, like we hold on to that so much because that's the part that made us feel so safe. And I believe it because then when we're an adult, we ignore
Do the same.
exactly. You do the same
Yeah.
thing. You ignore the toxicity. Oh, well, she sent a card, and
Yeah.
then just hover on that as opposed to not knowing that we are being hovered.
Yeah. And you know what? It's like, I don't want to say it's like an addiction, but it's like we wait for that good to come, so that when it does come, we kind of are really grateful for it. Whereas no, we shouldn't be grateful for something so small and something so surface level as well.
Exactly.
And it's all wrapped up into like realizing your worth when you don't know your worth, and you may think that you love yourself, but actually you don't if you continue to put your value, or the value that other people put on you as your value.
Yes.
So yeah, it's I think when you have, let's say, a romantic relationship of this nature, I always say that, you know, if you trace it back, there was somebody, guardian, parent, who had similar traits. People don't have to necessarily fulfill the label of whatever you want to call it, but however you grew up, you then became accustomed to that treatment, and it became then you're comfortable in the uncomfortable, if that makes sense.
Oh, yes, that makes absolute sense. That
Mm.
makes is that toxic cycle that continues. Wait, what
Yeah.
is this term I learned in my group therapy? Compulsion, repetition compulsion. I think
Mm.
I said it right. But yeah, you have a compulsion to continue to do the repetitive toxic behaviors or good behaviors, but more likely the toxic behaviors. And because that's what we learn when we're younger, we just keep doing it and it's normal. And then just like you said, we become comfortable with the uncomfortable or the normalcy, but it's really dysfunctional.
Yeah. So you don't realize that it's not normal. It's your normal, but it's not normal in the scheme of what is possible and how it should be. how
Right.
relationships and interaction should be. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm going to read, I love your Instagram, and I'm going to drop your Instagram in the chat in a moment. And anyone listening, we're going to get into the live Q&As, but we're going to just massage you a little bit. So Sarah, this was from your Instagram, which I thought was so spot on. It talked about holidays with a narcissist when you share children. And this could also be grandchildren, you think, as well, or like little people. What are your thoughts? Because they're all
Um,
watching.
do you mean like if you have a co-parent who is a grandparent of your, like you're both grandparents? Is that what you mean?
Yes. Or is
Um,
it more?
well, more direct with your own children because the other parent and you kind of are forced to have this closer relationship.
Mm,
Whereas grandparents, the parents are in between. It's like there's a bit of a buffer there.
okay, that makes sense. That makes perfect
Yeah,
sense. So
yeah.
you have on your Instagram, with the holidays fast approaching, please keep in mind in the forefront of your mind that this is usually when things start getting heated. Number one, your high conflict co-parent will be asking for more time with the children. Why is that?
Why not? Photo opportunities. Look how great I am. Look what I'm doing with my children. I'm great. I'm amazing. Look what we're doing. Look what I bought them. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So every opportunity is an opportunity to support the image or the story or the narrative that they want the outside world to believe. So it's like let's just for ease use male. It's the Disneyland dad thing. So they can snap lots of
Mhm.
photos. Look what I bought them. Look what we're doing. Look at what. But the camera shuts off and they go and treat the child or ignore them or the child's walking on eggshells. That's not true. But photos, people just look at the surface, so it looks like everyone's having fun. It's not true.
I just have this
Mm-hmm.
flood of memories that are coming in, and it makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
Photo opportunities or whatever it may be, just other people seeing how much fun the children are having with you. So
Right.
you must be great. You must be as great as you say you are. Mm-hmm.
Woo. I call those Instagram pictures, Instagram fathers, Instagram mothers.
Yeah, just like social media, but then they're ignoring the child or belittling, denigrating, letting them cry themselves to sleep behind closed doors. It's like that picture
Mm,
doesn't show that. Are you showing that to your friends and family? No, you're not. I wonder
mm-mm.
why. Yeah.
Exactly.
Hmm.
All right. Moving forward, the next slide says whatever prearranged plans you have, they'll mess with your schedule. I'm assuming that comes into the control part. I don't know.
Yes, yeah. So, I mean, this comes up so many times, and it's whether you have a parenting plan in place or not. Even if you do have a formal parenting plan in place, and you've organized to do this, and they're going to have them these days, you're going to have them these days, something will come up usually, and something's going to change, and it's usually just for, excuse me, yeah, the control. If I go and make some drama here, then this is going to change this, and I get to stuff up this person's plan. I mean, I don't think they're consciously thinking that, but it's all like, how can I mess this up? What is the element of control I can have here? Or, saying they're going to have the children, but they're not having them, or wanting to switch the days, or wanting to take the children away somewhere at the last minute. Whatever's written in the parenting orders, they don't normally stick to that and stick to what's written there. They find loopholes and ways around. And if you give in enough times, you've trained them to know that
Ooh.
you're not really going to stick to this. So I can just keep pushing and pushing and pushing until I pressurize you to agree.
Ooh. That's some good stuff right there. Um, it's
Yeah,
definitely the control. And
yeah,
this is why boundaries are so important.
yeah. And sticking to them, not just setting them, sticking to them, reaffirming them consistently, diligently, like a broken record. That's how you need to do it.
Mm.
There's no deviating, there's no varying. You just got to kind of, some people might think that's exhausting or might think it's harsh. It's like, no, certain people need consistent treatment in the same way each and every time. And I
Hmm.
always say it's like dog training. You have to train them of what's acceptable, what isn't acceptable.
Absolutely. And it goes back to what we just talked about a few minutes ago on being true and have enough self value that you know what you want and need, as opposed to letting outside factors. Oh, well, that's a mother, father of your children. Be nicer.
Yeah.
It's a
Someone,
holiday. Loosen up. You only live
yes.
once.
Or they've been quite good for a while. Let them, just say yes. And then guess what happens? You get fucked over again. It's like we cannot be surprised if the same thing keeps happening when you keep allowing this to happen. Not that it's your fault, but you need to draw a line in the sand.
Absolutely. I've even been told, and this is very triggering for me with the over spirituality of it. You need to, if you don't, you're not being a good Christian.
Yeah.
Ugh,
Yeah,
that
and
irritates me.
that's gaslighting because they're saying that and putting like kind of projecting their own views onto you, and it's also not being being abusive. It's also not being a good Christian. So you're going to tell that person that? Are they going to tell that person stop being the way that you are? Don't be abusive because you're not being a good Christian. No, they go to the person who's actually on the receiving end and say, it's your fault, it's your responsibility. No, that's not how it works. Like
Exactly.
someone said to me recently, this was another family member about this particular family member who I'm no contact with. um, Life is too short. And I said, yes, that's exactly why I've made the decisions that I have. I agree with you, life is too short.
Mm.
That's exactly why I do what I do. That's exactly why this person is no contact. They're trying to say life is too short, so make up. There's nothing to make up from. It's not like something happened and we can just move on from it. It's a decision I've made consciously. It's safer and more peaceful for me. Please respect that. Focus on yourself.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, focus on yourself. I've told somebody a couple months ago in my family that this high conflict parent is no longer good for my wellness in any aspect. And I was told, well, you're thinking about yourself too much, Ursula.
Yeah. You can't think about yourself too much. You have to think about yourself because the person's not thinking about you. So who else is going to do it? There is no too much. Yeah. If you don't want to focus on yourself, you don't do that. I will do what I need to do for my own safety and protection and my own energy. That's the only answer. You don't even need to explain to anybody, but if they keep persisting, I need to do what's necessary for me to protect my energy. And having that in my life is not in alignment with that.
That's
So
some good
get the
stuff.
fuck out of here. It's like, I know it's easy to say and it's hard with family, but it's like, seriously, life, like, it's cliche. Life is too short, and I'm not going to sit here and put up with crap or anything less than what I deserve to feel bad, to feel drawn down into their chaos or drama. For what? For others? No, I'm not going to do that. Nobody should
Exactly.
do that.
No, I feel that we grew up in such a society, like the culture of it is that looking for your own wellness, your own well-being, your own being an advocate for your own mental health is selfish, and that it's a lot more acceptable. I'm not saying it's right, but acceptable on self-sacrificing yourself. And you're denying yourself every time you go against what you really do feel. We can say all we want, but we can feel it.
Yeah. And I think the question to ask ourselves is, I mean, to me, it's really simple. It's like, do you want to continue feeling bad to please others, or do you want to feel good and have other people be disappointed? I don't care. We go and die on our own. We're not with them. They don't pay your bills. You live your life, they live theirs. It's like we can all respect one another if there is respect there, but it's a two-way street.
Mm.
Yeah. And the Christian thing, like, I mean, I'm not religious, so I don't get involved in that. But it's the thing is, yeah, does it say anywhere in the Bible that anyone should be abusive and everyone should just put up with it? Don't think it does.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So maybe if you want to be sassy, you could say to that person, well, you find me the part of the Bible that says that this is acceptable and I might listen to what you're saying. But until then, I've got to do what I've got to do.
That's right. To survive. Healthy.
Yeah.
Healthy. And the
Yeah.
last on this post is, and this goes right into what we were just talking about, when they guilt you into doing something as a family, they'll create chaos out of nothing and ruin the day.
Mm-hmm. Because, you know, the general thing around the world is, you know, family is important. We need to look like a family. We need to do it either for the children or for other family members so that we look like we are a family. But looking like a family and actually being a family are two very different things. And why would you spend time with someone who abuses you? Abused you once in the marriage or relationship, and then continues to outside. Why would you want to do that? Some people, I mean, I think this is just my perspective. It's a big mistake to do it for the children so that they see us happy together.
Why do you say that?
Because the children seeing you happy together is fake happiness, and then when the child is old enough to understand, and you explain what happened, if they ask you, which they usually do, and you explain, it's going to be, well, they couldn't have been that bad because we spent all those Christmases and Thanksgiving together, all these holidays. So it's not going to be in alignment with how you truly feel and what truly happened. If you spend all this time with this other parent, the child's going to be confused as to, are you really telling the truth that they were that bad? Did they really do those things? You know, so to not spend time with the other parent, the child doesn't need to see you happy together, just need to see you happy separately. That's fine. That's just my perspective.
I think that's fair. I think if the children see it separately, and I'm speaking from when I was a child. Now, as an adult looking back, I feel that seeing a parent separated and happy, it's a lot more authentic.
Yes, and a child doesn't necessarily have to have the parents together to see them happy. They can just see them happy individually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to have this pretend happy family thing for the sake of the child, because, yeah, it's not really. I don't think long term that serves any purpose. And you're hating every minute of it as the safe parent anyway. So why put yourself through that?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Whew. All right. So let's get into some questions from the viewers. Anyone listening, I put out a post. If anyone had questions for Sarah about how, why, when, where, co-parenting with a high conflict ex, a narcissistic ex, I told everyone to send me your questions, and that's what people have done. They were lighting up my DMs. But you know what? This is actually good. And one person, they actually said they've seen you and I before, so they definitely wanted to tune in. Yes, because they're going through it right now, and they said that they feel like they are on literally an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
She doesn't know if she's coming or going, and she feels guilty about her gut is telling her not to be around this person, but she wants to make it good for the kids. So I was like, tune in.
Yeah. But they are separate. They're not together. separated.
They are
Okay.
separated. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So do you want me to answer that one now?
Um, well,
Or
let me go into some
yeah,
of the
yeah.
other questions because hers is in there and I probably already said it. Okay, so here's
Yeah.
the first question. This viewer said, why is my ex calling me now after being missing in action for months?
Well, why not? Why not? If you bite, it was worthwhile, wasn't it? If you don't, then it wasn't.
Mm.
Everything that if you're dealing with, let's say it's a narcissist, we don't know, but if you're dealing with somebody like that, supply is why.
Ah,
So why
supply.
wouldn't they? If you haven't blocked them, why wouldn't they? You left the door open somehow, then they will try and walk through.
Ah, just like the birthday card, right?
Yeah, yeah. And that's the thing. The address. Sorry, just a sidebar. This person didn't have my address. They found it through someone else. So that's the even worse part.
Oh shit, really?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So they will go through whatever lengths they will to get supply, to reel you in, to hoover you back, to love bomb you, whatever it may be. If you leave the doors open, they will find a way to enter them. If you block them everywhere, how can they get hold of you? They might be able to try, but you just need to keep slamming those doors. If you don't want them to contact you, keep slamming them right in their face, as in block them everywhere with every attempt, each and every time. But
I
everything is for supply.
Yeah. So can you explain to the viewers about hoovering and what that means and what supply means?
Yeah, so hoovering is like a Hoover attempt to suck you back in. So to suck you back into the vortex. It's like dipping casting the rod out and seeing, it might not be you, there might be other people as well. Who's going to bite? Who's going to bite first to feed me? Their supply is attention, your attention on them, talking to them, whether it's about good things or bad things, it's still attention, which is narcissistic supply, which is their
Mm,
fuel. It makes them feel important, like they are worthy, and they can pull your strings or push your buttons, and you're going to jump. So
mm,
do not feed, block everywhere if you can. If you don't share children, if you do share children, you can't really block, but you can limit their access to you.
I've heard some people say, well, they keep calling me. Well, they keep contacting me. And now with my new ears and eyes, going back to what you just said, well, we ultimately do have that control to
Yeah,
limit or stop that contact. And
yeah.
I also feel like it absolves the person from their responsibility in letting that door stay open.
Yes, I mean, some people don't or resist blocking or going no contact because they use the excuse that, well, they're not contacting me anyway, they won't contact me. Well, if they're not, you would block, but you must be a small part of you that wants them to or wants to see. Now, if they can get hold of you, they will get hold of you and they're going to keep triggering you. Even if you don't respond, even if you don't answer, you're still seeing that. And you might get curious, especially if you're in a weak moment and go and open that can of worms and get messed up again. Why would you do that to yourself?
Mm. And that goes back to that living in isolation. What you
Yeah.
just said.
When
Wow.
you're with your own thoughts and you're like, oh, well, they'd be nice now. Let's just see, especially if maybe you're bored or you haven't got anything else going on. You might
Hmm.
be, oh, I'll just see what happens. You can't see what happens with somebody like this because the damage that they do is not worth the price that you pay to go and explore or be curious.
Wow.
Yeah.
Next question. How do I deal with a vindictive ex?
Well,
That's
it's the
all they
same thing.
said. They didn't give
It's
me
kind
much.
of Yeah. There's not a lot of context there. I mean, it's the same thing. Maybe they mean like a smear campaign as well, which is like telling everybody how terrible, how awful you are, how abusive you are, whatever it may be. And it really depends who you've got in your circle. Like if you are still mutual friends with people, you might want to consider or reconsider those friendships, or who has access to you, who doesn't. If there are family members that you are maybe still friendly with on their side, again, you may want to consider who you are still in contact with, because anyone who is affiliated with them has the potential to be a flying monkey or enabler. So flying monkey is someone who goes to see what you're doing and reports back. You know?
A soldier, yes.
Yeah, yeah. So how
Uh,
do you deal with the vindictive ex? I mean, that's like it's a big answer, but the long and short of it is reassess who is it, what mutual friends you have and mutual contacts, and maybe reduce that down so that anything they do say in a smear campaign kind of doesn't really affect you because you're not affiliated with any of them. I think
I
that's pretty
like
good.
that. That's actually
Yeah.
really good. I
So they
like
can go
that.
talk. You're not going to hear about it, so who cares?
Right. And that gives you, I feel like that gives the person, they regain their own control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
learned
easier said
something.
than done. Easier said than done if you've had long, like, relationships with these people and you're friendly. But I think going through something like this, you do realize who is in your corner and who isn't. So you're gonna have to make some decisions, and it's gonna be for your own good. Don't worry about being perceived as a bad person. You've got to do what's best for you.
Mm, good
Mm.
stuff, Sarah. All right, next question. Any suggestions on how to schedule outings for the kids with a high conflict ex?
Yeah, I have plenty of suggestions, but the high conflict ex probably isn't going to like them. So, you know, to what I was saying earlier, why do you need to have outings with your children and your high conflict ex? I'm not understanding why there needs to be time spent together. They have their time with the children, you have your time with the children. Why do we need to spend time together as a family? So that's
Mm,
something for them to ask themselves, like, why? Did somebody tell you you had to do that? Are they pressurizing you to pretend to be like a family for the sake of the children? What is the reason why you would want to do that? Is like, how does that benefit your children? How does that benefit you? It might look good for photos and it might make the other person feel good and it might make the other person look good, but guarantee they're doing it, especially if they're covert, for perception only. Look how amazing I am. Even my ex-wife wants to hang out with me. Do you want him? Let's just say it's a him. Do you want him to be able to say that, or do you just want to keep things separate? I don't think it's necessary to do things together. It makes life easier.
you
I
just dropped the bomb.
don't fluff around. I know
You
the things
really
I'm saying
don't.
are easy, but I mean, that's just the straight facts. I'm not going to sugarcoat things. Like, people have to ask themselves the question of, why am I continuing to do these things if they are not of any benefit and they actually end up hurting me? Why would you do that? Your children aren't going to thank you for putting yourself through that when this person has been abusive towards you, if he has been abusive.
Mm.
They,
You
yeah.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm just like, when they're older, they would have, they probably, and I can't speak for them, would have wished that you didn't put yourself in that position for them, for their benefit.
Right. And you really making my brain just ping, ping, ping. When people say, I want to know your thoughts on this. Okay, you have a couple, I'm just saying, for instance, the husband or ex-husband, total high conflict, textbook case, and people will insert, well, he's a good father. He wasn't a good husband, but he's still a good father.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I've done a few posts on this. It's like, someone who continues to abuse the mother of their children is not a good father. End of story.
Right.
Whether it's indirect or direct, someone who does that, I mean, a good father as in what? They provide, they feed, they clothe, they bathe the child, they buy them things. A credit card can do that. What do you mean they're a good father? They provide for them, but they're there for them emotionally? Because people who are, let's say, narcissistic, abusive, toxic, difficult, don't usually look out for the children's best interest. They look for their own best interests, and the children are collateral damage. So what is a
Mm,
good father? What are you calling a good father? Somebody who buys them shoes, takes them on holiday, buys them clothes, puts them in private school. What's a good father? Because a credit card can also do that.
I'm gonna borrow that.
I'm dropping bombs. But
More
it's
like
true.
a
Like I know I'm making like light of it, but it's like, what is a good father to you then? Because someone who continues to abuse you after you've separated or divorced and tries to belittle you, or does belittle you, or speaks in the children's ears, trying to turn children against you, is that a good father? Ask yourself the question. Like, really?
sounds like an
Yeah.
excuse. Yeah. Here's another question. I think my ex is a narc. How do I set boundaries? Um, may I interject?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so the person who sent this, this is Ursula's views. I think that's a great question. Definitely explore it. However, that to me, that is a very loaded question. And this is why I have guests on here that are experts, because this is why they have programs where you can get that in-depth answer to how
Yeah.
to really navigate through this. Like I said, the question is so good, but I just feel like it's a very loaded question. But I still wanted to add this onto the list, Sarah. But I just
Yeah.
wanted to add that in there. Go ahead. That's a
Okay.
loaded
So
question.
I think my ex is a narcissist. How do I set boundaries?
Yes.
Okay, it depends if you have children or not. If you have children, then yes, you need to find a way to set boundaries if you share children,
Mhm.
because you can't easily block them and go no contact.
Mhm.
But the key word for me is I think my ex is a narcissist. Say you don't have children, okay, they're an ex. The biggest and best boundary of all is to block them everywhere. I mean, that's the simple answer.
What if they have children?
So if you share children, you come work with me and I help you set boundaries. These are the cast iron boundaries because, yeah, if you share children, it's a long, dusty road and it can be lonely, and
Sarah,
you
you're
will
the
need
best.
boundaries. You will need boundaries for things you didn't even think you needed boundaries for when dealing with somebody like that for 18 plus years.
Wow.
So you got to do the work. Everyone knows logically how or what a boundary is, how to set them. But everyone who comes to me says, yes, I know how to set boundaries and I set them, but they just don't listen or they don't work. Yes, they don't listen because they don't want the boundary. They don't work because you're not consistent, you're not diligent, and a boundary is not a request. People get really stuck on that. Oh, let's go and do this, or they announce the boundary. You don't have to verbalize a boundary. It's sometimes what you stop doing without a word.
Can we get a mind trick?
You know,
I
you don't need
never
to
thought
announce
about
it.
that. I
You
never
don't
thought
need
about
to
that.
Yeah, you don't need to verbalize. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to share it. You don't need to ask them. You don't necessarily need to tell them. It's what you start doing and how you start behaving and what you stop doing and stop allowing.
Mm.
So boundaries need to be cast iron boundaries, which means cannot be penetrated, they cannot be changed, they cannot be shifted. They are set in stone. And that
Mm.
takes kind of courage within yourself to kind of set the boundaries despite the fear, despite the guilt, and maybe despite some shame that you're going to feel, because the person, if you're dealing with somebody high conflict, they're not going to like the boundary. They will resist. They will point it back on you. They'll make you feel bad. They'll make you feel like an awful person. They'll whinge, cry, bitch and moan and complain. But you need to keep setting the boundary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Mm. So when you say you don't have to announce it, say the high conflict person is asking, well, why? Do you feel like that person needs to explain why, or just leave it?
You can explain why if you want to have an ongoing conversation with this person that goes around in circles. You can explain why if you want to do that. don't think the other person's going to accept it. So that's why I think don't bother explaining. It's a waste of your breath, and it shouldn't change your outcome. You set it
Mm.
regardless of the reaction. The person wants to know not why. It's a need to know basis, and you don't need to know. So,
Where were
yeah,
you? I needed you when I I could have used you, but you know what? Things happen in time when they're
yeah,
supposed
yes.
to.
And this is years of work. Like, this is years of work, being consistent, being diligent, trial and error, doing what works, stop doing what doesn't work on my own. Like me doing that. I say it's like a job, but it needs to be like something that you are intentional with and you stick to it no matter what. A lot of women that I work with, they drop their boundaries because the other person's being nice. And then guess what happens? So you can't change how you deal with them based on how they are being. If they're good,
Oh.
if they're bad, if they're nothing, you still operate in the same way when it comes to that person.
Because it's still, oh, that's really good point. If we rearrange our boundaries based on the other person's behavior, that's still giving them control over the
Yeah,
situation.
yeah,
Mm,
because you're adjusting yourself based on who they are. No, you stay consistent, whether they're nice, whether they're horrible, it doesn't matter.
right. Okay.
Hmm.
Let's see. Next question. Oh, I like this question. Very thought provoking. What are your thoughts on my ex brainwashing my kids? I think this is happening because my kids have become distant.
Yeah. So um, that will happen. It does happen. I'm not saying they'll be successful. You have to do something to offset that because it's going to happen. They will try and belittle you, denigrate you, put you down, break the bond that you have with your children. Like within my membership, there's a course called the Child Whisperer. I mean, that's after you've done a couple of other foundational courses, and it's where you learn how to hold space for your children. You love your kids, like no one's disputing that. As moms, we love our children,
Right.
but you need to get to a place where you are that safe container for them so that they can come to you and open up about what they're experiencing, how they're feeling, because guaranteed at the other home, they will not be supported in that way and they will be like a pressure cooker ready to blow. That's why
Mm,
you may find that the transitions are very difficult. The other parent is trying to break the relationship and the bond between you and your children. That's why I say you have to work 1,000 times harder because you need to parent your children, offsetting the shit that they're hearing from the other parent and also hold space for yourself. You have to be able to set the boundaries, regulate yourself, so that you can hold space for the children when they come home and they're maybe acting out or they're withdrawn or they want to share with you or they don't want to share with you. Sometimes they share everything. Sometimes they do it in their behavior.
right.
Sometimes they are withdrawn and they share nothing and they don't talk to you. That's the problem area. That's where we need to start doing the work to be that safe place for them because they may be confused and it depends on their age. If they're hearing horrible things from one parent about someone else that they love, that will be very confusing for a child. So you need to nip that in the bud and get on top of that and set yourself up so that for however many years you have your children, no matter what they're going through over there, they can come to you and share.
Mm.
And you can't, you're not just listening. You provide them with the tools and the strategies to be able to deal with this themselves and have those coping strategies in place, healthy coping strategies.
I love what
Yeah,
you said about the parent being a safe container
yeah,
because it makes the child would make them feel, I feel emotionally safe. And maybe that's when the discernment can come in as well with the
yeah.
kids.
No matter the age of the child, I mean, and it depends on if they're able to think critically for themselves, which comes with age, but
Right.
and being able to articulate their feelings. But you can only be a safe container. I mean, yes, you love your child, but you can only be a safe container for them once you are not triggered by what they come back with. Once you are able
Mm.
to sit and listen. And
Mm.
I said this in one of my courses, it's not hearing what's said, it's hearing what's not said as well. You need to be able to hear what isn't said by your children. You need to be able to discern what they are not sharing if they are not sharing. some children share everything, and you can be triggered if you're not able to kind of sort and sift and understand what's happening. When you
Right.
have the awareness of what's happening, you're then able to fix it and deal
Wow.
with it, rather than dealing with your own stuff, getting triggered by the kid in this vicious cycle, and then they
Hmm.
go off again to the other parent, and nothing gets fixed, nothing gets resolved, and it just gets worse and worse. So
Yeah,
that's the work that I
definitely.
do. We work together to get to that place, so that you are that safe container, you are the emotionally safe parent, and the child knows it.
Absolutely. And I feel when there aren't the safe containers, again, we end up getting in adult relationships with unsafe containers,
Yeah,
emotionally unsafe, emotionally unavailable partners.
yeah, and it's normal. It will feel normal. So it's
Mm.
like then deprogramming all of this that you grew up with, and reprogramming yourself, and then being the cycle breaker for your children. Like, you need to
Mm.
end it with you. Do you want your children to go on to have these relationships where they have to learn these hard lessons, or do you want to provide them with the tools now once you learn them, so that your children grow up equipped and ready to deal with these types? Because they are everywhere, unfortunately, and we can't protect our children from everything, but you can help them forge themselves into these well-rounded individuals with the boundaries in place, with the awareness that there are people out there who will make you feel a certain way, that will drain your energy. If they have that awareness, if they have basically all the things that would have deterred you from ending up in these kind of relationships, they're going
Mhm.
to be like light years ahead of us by the
Mm.
time they get to that age. So that's kind of like my goal, to get you do your work, pass it down to your children. The cycle is broken. They go off to have healthy relationships, and they are set for life because of you.
Yes, I love that. Cycle breakers.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the new sexy, right?
yeah. Doing your work so that your children don't have to later.
Exactly. I have
Mm.
more questions, but I'm going to read one more because I want to respect your time because I still want to talk
Yeah.
about this our Black Friday sales that we have going on. So let's see. Let me pick a question. We kind of touched on that. Um, ooh, my ex likes to involve his mother in our arguments, and I feel teamed up on. That's more of a statement. I don't see a question there, but I added that because to me that is a control tactic. I feel, if they're using this
Yeah.
triangulation.
Well, she's an enabler. The mum's an enabler. So, yeah, they use other people to team up on you, sure. But if the
Mm.
person's an ex, I don't know if you have children or not. If you don't have children, you know what to do. If you do have children, it might be a little bit different. But if you do share children and the mother is teaming up on you, then you need to, again, reassess that relationship. You don't necessarily have to or obligated to have a relationship with toxic, unhealthy people. If you want your children to still have a relationship with her, let the ex have the time with the children with that person. You don't have to
Mm.
facilitate that. There's nothing to do with you.
Woo. I love it. I love it. Love it.
Mm.
Well, speaking of these action plans that you've been giving us, these tips, let's talk about Black Friday. I want everyone listening. I dropped a link and it's to Sarah's. It's a co-parenting program, but I'll let you talk about it, Sarah.
Yeah. So, well, previously I used to just work with women one on one, like privately one on one.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, not everyone can access that, not everyone can afford it, and not everybody needs like that intense private work with me. So,
Mm.
I created then a monthly membership where you can get my support within a group. And when I say group, I don't mean like sing kumbaya, cry, leave depressed. It's not that kind of group, because I couldn't sustain that anyway. It's like a group of women going through this, trying to navigate either mediation, court, co parenting in general, supporting their children, with like action steps and tools for you to implement in your life, depending on what you're navigating when it comes to having a high conflict co-parent. So whether it's reducing your anxiety, protecting your children from the negative impact, or getting to a place where you're able to stay calm whilst you're shutting down the conflict as it's
Mm.
unfolding. That's what we work on. So that's what I guide and support these women on through the monthly membership. So
Mm.
with the monthly membership, you can book one-on-one sessions with me at a discounted rate. That's a perk of the membership. So rather than having private one-on-one and having to spend $1,000 per month, you get a discounted rate and flexible support.
Yeah.
So I never done Black Friday because I'm from England. We don't really do the Black Friday thing, but because it's my birthday week, and people don't really know what the co-parenting club is. They're like, "Oh, what is this place? I don't even know." Basically, I'm offering a 14-day trial. So that's a 14-day trial. Come and try before you buy. I've got courses in there. I've got Zoom call recordings and some training.
Woo.
And come to a Zoom, come and see what it's all about. There's a lot of value in there, lots of support from me and the other members. You don't just get me, you get to see what other people are navigating. So you can kind of see like, oh, I'm going to have this challenge. Let's see what's worked for this person. So you get a bit of a heads up. So it's a
Mm.
positive place. It's you got this challenge. What do I need to do? And that's the guidance I give. I give you steps to go and implement, but you have to do the work because I can't come to your house and do it for you. So if you've got this
Right.
problem and I give you some options and some steps, you've got to go and do the thing, whether it's writing that email, setting that boundary, whatever it is. It's not hard, but you've got to go and do it. So
Exactly.
that's for free. That's for 2 weeks for free. See how you go. And then you get to lock in a discounted membership price as well.
I'm going through your site now and I'm reading the area where it says the co-parenting milestones. I like this a lot. Being a member of the co-parenting club, you will hit 3 main milestones, realizing the possibility. Mm, that is
Yeah.
huge because when someone is feel like they're in this deep dark abyss, you don't think that nothing is going to work, and the
Yeah. And you might
possibility.
have tried. You might have tried so many things and come up against brick walls. Well, try
Right.
this. You've not tried this before because this is just not long started. So try something different, especially if you've been banging your head against a brick wall and nothing's been working. Something can always change. You just have to believe that it can. That's the
Yes.
thing.
And number 2 on that is to take action, which goes piggybacks on what you just said.
Yeah.
Just try
Yeah.
something new. We've tried everything else. Why not try something new? And
Yeah.
you know, why not?
Yeah.
It can't get any worse.
Yes, that's right. And let's just start aligning ourselves with what's going to be good for you and your children instead of what's working for your high conflict co-parent. Because what's
Ooh.
working for them, they just keep doing it because it works. Let's stop that now, like without their permission, without their approval. You just start doing your own thing.
Can you give me
That
another?
takes that takes confidence. It does take confidence and stepping out of fear. But the fear, like I always say, the fear never goes, but it gets quieter and it gets smaller, and you start taking action despite the fear because in the long run, that's what's going to benefit you and your children.
Oh,
So I guide you through that. Steal some of my confidence, borrow it, whatever you need to do until you get your own, and you will get it once you start trying these things and doing it, and you get the outcomes that you need.
ooh, that just touched my soul right there. I love that. Take some of my confidence. That is so
Yeah.
dope. That is it's like a healing circle. It is. Not like, it is a healing
Yeah.
circle. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I
And
see it.
some people think group, oh, it's going to be like, oh, like group, like sitting there or moping around. No, it's like I have a one-on-one relationship with everybody in the group. And so we work together one-on-one in a group, or you can have private one-on-one with me. You get
Mm,
access to book calls if you really want, that dedicated time with me. It's just
right.
more flexible. But it's action. We take action. This is what's going on. Here's your steps. Go and do it. And you'll see what happens and how that unfolds for you.
What is that term? I'm so bad about remembering certain terminology. I know in my group therapy, I go to two, and uh, when people are talking, when they're in the love seat, and I remember our group leader, she said how we get benefits of therapy, listening to other people, you know,
Yeah,
just because I feel like it brings us closer together, but I feel like it brings ourselves closer to our own selves. But know that we're not the only person going through whatever these situations are. And
yeah.
yeah, a matter of
It
fact,
really is. It
huh?
really is beneficial to hear that other people, like what one of the members said, is it's like we've all got the same story. Like it's the same, different people, different exes, but it's all the same thing. It's all the same behaviors, and we're all left with the same kind of, trauma, the same doubts, the same fears, the same worries. So there is comfort in hearing from other people. Oh, I'm not alone. Oh, it's not just me. And there is hope because there are people who are a bit further along, but there is hope. Things can change. And they don't just hear that
Right.
from me, they hear it from others who have been doing the work and implementing and turning everything around.
Exactly. And they see it.
Yeah. Yeah.
They'll probably come and talk about their achievements, even if it's
Yeah.
something may look simple to other people. Oh, well, I didn't open up this birthday card. And it's really just a piece of
Yeah.
paper, but that paper
Oh, but
holds
it means
so
so
much weight.
much. Yeah. I get people to share their wins, no matter how big or small, because they're not just wins in isolation. And small wins help people see that, okay, I can do this and I can just say no to this or just completely ignore this message. And guess what happens? The world doesn't come crumbling down. And then you
Right.
go and maybe attempt something a little bit bigger next time, a little bit
Hmm.
more challenging. Yeah.
Love it. Well, we are winding down. Um, can you give us any parting words or anything else you'd like to promote?
Yeah, so just come to the Co-Parenting Club, try before you buy for the next 2 weeks. There's a live call coming up. You'll just be able to see for yourself and get the support that you need. Also, life in general is too short for conflict. So whether you co-parent, whether you have toxic family members, life is too short for conflict. So you need to do whatever you can to protect yourself, protect your energy. And because it's the holidays, like you don't necessarily have to spend time with toxic or unhealthy family members or high conflict exes. But if you do choose to, always have a plan. Have a plan for how you're going to get out of difficult or awkward conversations or how you're going to leave. Just have a contingency plan in place so that you at least have the element of control and you don't spiral.
Mm,
Because if you spend time and are exposed to these people for any amount of time, it can affect you for, not just hours, but days.
mm.
So protect yourself, and there's no amount of like I think you said that Ursula about you love yourself too much or whatever it was. There's never too much. If it's for yourself, there's never
Yeah.
too much because you don't hurt others by doing that. It's only people who liked the version of you that didn't do that that have uh,
Ooh,
have that resistance. Anyway, I'll just leave it there.
mic drop on that. Perfectly said. Perfectly
Mm.
said. All right, everyone, make sure and check out the links that I dropped in the chat. I have Sarah, and I just misspelled your name on one of it, but everybody, the
Oh,
link
it's
works. That's all
okay.
that matters. uh, I dropped Sarah's Instagram, and you'll see her link tree on there, but especially check out her co-parenting club link, and that will get all your answers, your
Yeah,
questions answered,
all
and
your
you'll be
questions
getting your
answered.
shift together
Yeah, one step at a time.
one step at a time. Exactly. I also put my Black Friday link in the chat. I am having a bunch of merch that is going on for your. See, on the pod, I'm taking care of your emotional self care, but on the merch, it's some tangible self care. So when you got have ear pods, some black girls getting their stuff together, ear pods, some
Ah,
t-shirts with my, let's see,
I
my,
love it.
wait, hold on. Here we go.
Love it.
Yeah, and even my windbreaker, black girls getting their shit together. I play a lot of tennis, so I have visors, you name it, candles. So, when you're relaxing in your tub, you burn your candles while you listen to black girls getting their shit together. Go on and do it. Use code BGGTST. The sale starts tonight. Actually, yeah, at midnight, and it rolls for 1 week. Sarah, once again, you are a black girl that has her shift together.
It's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey.
It is. It is. And happy belated birthday.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm feeling very grateful and thankful.
Oh, that's good. You're such a light. Yeah. I really enjoy talking to you all the time. You're the light.
Good fun. Good fun. Good energy.
Yes. From the first time we met. The first time. I was like, I like this sister a lot. Yeah. A lot. Yeah. Real good chemistry and energy. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Black Girls Getting Their Shift Together. If you happen to be around any high conflict family members, just take into account what we talked about tonight and be your own advocate. Again, good night, and I'll see you next week. Thank you, Sarah.
Bye.
For the queen, sisters manifesting their dreams. Get your cream by any means and beam with self-esteem. Beauty supreme and Buddha walk so mean. The way you fit in them jeans, you eat your cornbread and greens. Dance or a doctor, red wine or vodka. Redesign your spot and redefine your mantra. Retwist your locks and realign your chakras. Doing your squats and getting closer to God, huh? Brunching with your squad or taking a girl's trip. Adjust your crown, you guys give to the world, sis. Celestial body, drink your water. Meditate, sun-kiss goddess, heavenly water. Levitate, tribe of Ashanti, black girl magic, melanin popping, whether you ratchet or lavish, whether you bougie or savage, you a gift and a treasure. You got to love a black girl getting a shift together. Black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls getting a shift together, man. These black girls are getting a shift together. These black girls